Hey, I'm Gretchen Rubin, coming to you live from my apartment in New York City. In a second, I'm going to be joined by my sister and co-host of the Happier podcast, Elizabeth Craft. While we're waiting for her to join, tell us in the comments where you are, and also be thinking of your questions because today's Friday, so this is an Ask Us Anything. So be thinking of your questions. And so now I'm going to have Elizabeth join. Okay, let's see. It's not giving me the little. Oh, she's not joining yet. Okay, well, while we're waiting for her to join, make sure that you be thinking of your question. Oh, Ohio, Hampshire, this is great. More people joining. Menlo Park, California, that's cool. Salt Flat, Texas, Switzerland. Oh, all over the place. And so let me see if she's joined. She was having internet issues the other day, and so I don't know if that's still going on. Yeah, give me a thumbs up if you've had serious internet issues that have been plaguing you. I was doing a call with a bunch of people, and my camera didn't work. It's something that I'd never seen before. I was like, technology is great when it works, and sometimes it doesn't. And I think that maybe Alyssa's having oh, here she is. Let's see. We're waiting for her. Hello from Vegas. Hey, how are you?
Hey, Gretch. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday to you. So it's Friday. It's Ask Us Anything, which to me really makes Friday feel very different from every other day now.
Yes.
Yes. Oh, someone says cool library background. This is interesting. I copied this from some friends of our family. These are not real. It's actually a secret door to a secret cabinet that's behind there. The whole thing folds out because I'm really into like secret places, as I wrote about in Happier at Home. But it also makes a good backdrop because everything's always nicely organized. So Elizabeth, you got your ancient Mac computer.
I know. I realized I need to do some styling of this office because I'm having a lot of Zoom meetings. Like I at least moved the punching bag to the other side of the room, but I do need to work on it. So that's a project.
Give us a thumbs up if you've had to try to do a little bit of staging. The problem is if you need light, it's hard to get the right light and the right background. I feel like I can get one or the other.
Yeah.
It's the combo.
Yes.
Yes. Oh yeah, we're getting lots of thumbs up. Now, how many people thumbs up if you have played around with your background? Because we had a teacher conference today, and the teacher, who has red hair and like a big beard, had kind of this Alpine thing. And Eleanor and I are watching Game of Thrones, and I couldn't resist. I was like, "You look like Torment," and then I was like, you shouldn't say things like that to people." But he did. He was like because I was thinking about Game of Thrones.
The problem with the virtual background is if you don't have a new enough computer, then you sort of fade in and out with the virtual background. That's my problem.
It flickers.
Clip light, somebody says.
Well, I have a ring light, which I'm using right now. I just got it and I'm playing with it.
It makes a difference, Gretch. It looks good.
Oh, good. But it's sort of like, anyway, I'm learning how to do it. So yeah, if
somebody wants to know.
If anybody's got any quick tips about using lights or anything, or like pet peeves, put it in the comments, because I think this is the sort of thing where you're like, I wish we could all just say, please get the computer off the coffee table and up, because all we see is like the bottom of your face. Like, I keep saying to Jamie, elevate it.
Today.
Huh?
I feel like my light is dark today.
Yeah, you usually do have a better, It may be, I don't know, that's true. They are tricky. Someone says, don't come to a teacher's meeting wearing pajamas on Zoom. Yeah, I think, I'd like to get the knack of better lighting. I do know that you're not supposed to have a window behind you. Yes, you know what I did is a long time ago when I was promoting the Happiness Project, which is 10 years ago now. Okay, this is a clutter clearing story. They gave me a giant blow up on that, that thick board, what do you call that board that is like poster board?
Foam core,
whatever, of the Happiness Project cover. And it was super cool, but it's like, what do you do with that? So it's been sitting under the bed for years. And I was always like, my clutter clearing was like, why? I don't need it. I don't use it, but I sort of do love it. But now I realize, because I have a window behind me in my office, it's giant. So I put it
nice.
Across the window, and it fits very nicely. And so I'm like, problem solved.
Yes. Wow. But
Oh,
by the way, a lot of people think your lighting looks great today.
oh, thank you. Well, maybe this is a good place. But see, it's tricky though, because there is a window in here, and it's a window that for complicated reasons is very hard to make dark. But today in New York City, it's a very dark day, so I'm not getting a lot of that light. Sometimes this room is tricky because of that.
So, all right, everyone, it's Ask Us Anything
Yes.
Friday, so you can ask us anything. Somebody asked if we record on our phones or computers. For the podcast, we use computers.
Yes.
This I'm doing on my phone. I don't know what you're doing it on.
Yeah, I'm doing it on my phone too. Yeah. Someone says, my question, my walk for 2020 was derailed with the start of isolation. How do I get back to it without feeling like I failed by missing days? That is a great question, because one of the big kind of challenges of Don't Break the Chain is what happens if the chain gets broken. And so one thing to do is to remind yourself, it's never too late now. It's always the right time. And this is something I learned from my yoga teacher, because in New York, a lot of people go away from the summer. And he said people used to like say, well, I'm going to quit for now, and then I'll start again in the summer. And he changed that language, reframing very much in your camp, Elizabeth, and said, no, look, we got the summer. I'm taking you up this day. I'm taking you up this day. I'm taking you up this day. But this is the day in September when I'll expect to see you again. You're not quitting. You're just taking this break, and then you're going to resume. So for you, you could say, look, this week, oh, looks like we're going to extend more. Those weeks, that's out. But then, oh, on this day, I will pick it right up again. So you have not broken the chain. You've paused the chain because you've had to pause the chain. And then you'll pick it right back up. And also, can you just do it in your house or your apartment? Because, you know, it's hard if you don't have a treadmill, but I have a teeny tiny office. And I've noticed, because I track my steps, if I just walk back and forth in this little tiny office when I'm on the phone, I can get many thousands of steps. So maybe you even want to say, just be on your feet, moving around for 20 minutes. You could be listening to a podcast. Could be clearing clutter, like tidying up, just so you're on your feet. Because 20 minutes isn't that long to just be kind of wandering around your apartment. It might not feel like a proper walk, but if you're up in your feet and moving, hey, it counts.
Someone's asking, do I still talk to Marcia Clark after doing the fix with her? The answer is yes. I talked to her. In fact, I just texted with her yesterday, and I love Marcia. She became a really good friend of ours, and she is doing well.
Yeah. Somebody is mentioning Leslie Sansone on YouTube. This is a resource many, many, many listeners and viewers have mentioned. So maybe you're going to sub in Walk 20 for 20 for like, do YouTube for 20 for 20, because she is, and I looked, and she has things that are specifically like a walk where you're doing kind of, it's the equivalent of going for a walk, but you're doing it in one place. So there's definitely ways to do it.
Someone asked if we're wearing pants, real pants. Rarely. Mostly I'm wearing leggings or sweats. I'm only putting on jeans for meetings. Even though no one sees it, I feel like I should have on jeans. It just makes me feel more professional.
That's good. That's good. Let's see. Someone says, oh yeah, I love to do Leslie Sansone on rainy days. So a lot of people are recommending these kinds of things. And so maybe it's better not to think about taking a pause. Maybe that like could become kind of a loophole. Maybe it's better to think of, my walk is going to change, but my chain is going to continue. So I take that back. Do that. But somebody said they like the idea of the pause. So someone says, clutter busting tips, please. Need help with Tupperware and plasticware that overtakes my kitchen somehow and is always a mess. Okay, thumbs up if you cannot figure out how to store the plastic containers in a way. Because I bought this kind that's all nesting. So I thought, oh, this was perfect. It's like the self-contained kind of cunning thing. But it's like doing a Lego set. Nobody does it, and they just throw it in there, and it's a mess. So I'm a big fan of a big basket that you just put everything into, and you have the basket on a deep shelf, and then everything's just stuck in there. How about you, Elizabeth? I know you have a lot of plastic containers.
Yeah, I mean, we have a deep drawer that it's in, so I kind of just shove it all in there. We don't have that much, though. I don't feel like we're overtaken with it the way some people are. Probably because we don't do that much cooking. So,
Well, one thing to do is to go through and make sure that everything has a match set, because when I finally did that one time, I found that a lot of things didn't have lids. A lot of things were just gross. Like over time, they kind of get stained and they kind of crack, and depending on how high quality they are, which mine were not very high quality. So you might have plenty, or, and then you could give some away or recycle them or do whatever if you have more than you need and they're not very nice. Elizabeth, somebody mentioned, have we picked a new book for the book club? We have narrowed it down.
Yes.
So we want to hear from you, Elizabeth.
Yes. So for, I'd say years, I've been trying to get Gretchen to read David Sedaris.
How have I not done that?
She hasn't done it. She's going to love David Sedaris. Now is the time. So I've got it narrowed down to 2 books, and people out there who love David Sedaris, chime in. Either Naked or Me Talk Pretty One Day. So if you're out there and you're a David Sedaris fan, we'd love to hear which of those books you think would be better for the podcast. I'm
not the podcast for this.
The
book club,
Insta Live book club. Yeah. And I'm trying to get Gretchen to listen to it because his voice is so great. But if you read it, it's also very funny. But I just love listening.
I listened.
People said Me Talk Pretty One Day.
Or Nick,
Me Talk Pretty. Well, we're getting a lot of that.
Oh, this is good. People are putting in all kinds of comments about how to store the plastic containers. So everybody, if you want to look at that, there's a great. Someone says, so weigh in. Which one do you think we should pick? So
everyone is saying Me Talk Pretty One Day, so maybe we should just go with it, because we're getting many.
It's like, because I think I asked on social media too, and I haven't looked there yet.
Oh, okay.
But we could just decide right now if we wanted to simplify things, because then people would have the weekend.
That's true.
So anyway, well, let's see if more weigh in, or if it's just overwhelmingly we Talk Pretty One Day, we could just make the call. Someone says, I noticed a different style in your earlier podcast. Podcast episodes compared to now, do you ever listen to the old ones to get ideas or to make sure you don't stray from the reason you started the podcast? No. I feel like they're really the same. That's interesting.
I know.
I feel like we've gotten more comfortable and better in delivery, but I feel like because we have such a structure, I feel like the structure is pretty much the same. That's interesting. Maybe this listener is picking up differences that we don't pick up. The one thing, and what Elizabeth, because I'm writing about all this stuff all the time, I sometimes forget what we've done. And Elizabeth has an encyclopedic memory of what we've talked about. And it's tricky because sometimes we'll talk about something in the context of another subject. So it's not even like I could look it up online and know what we talked about. But Elizabeth, fortunately, has this really good memory, and she'll be like, no, I think we talked about that when we were talking about XYZ. And then I go look and I see, oh, you're right. We already did talk about that. And sometimes
the problem is sometimes we've talked about things like just in life, and then I can't remember if it was a conversation we had on the podcast or a conversation we've had in life. And that's where it gets hard. Yes.
Because we actually talk on the phone all the time in addition to this. And so sometimes it's, and then sometimes, especially Elizabeth, my sister, the sage, I'll be like, hang on, I got to write that down. And then that should be, try this at home. And it's all in process. Someone said, just a slight change. I've listened to each episode like 4 times. Oh, gold starting.
Nice.
If you're just joining, we are Gretchen Rubin and Elizabeth Kraft. We're the hosts of the Happier with Gretchen Rubin podcast, and it's Friday, so it's Ask Us Anything. And so we are talking about anything you want to talk about. And in particular, which book do you think we should choose for our next virtual book club by David Sedaris? Naked or Me Talk Pretty One Day? Because we're going to just look right now, and we're just going to make the decision. Elizabeth, I'm going to let you make the call since you're the David Sedaris. And a thumbs up if you have listened to the audiobook, because I heard an interview with him, and he does have just a completely unique voice. It's like no voice you've ever heard before. So I think it would be great if you're listening in audio.
Someone's asking about mom and dad, both how they're doing and will they come on the podcast. They're doing great. They're being very safe. And their spirits are very high. No, they do not want to come on the podcast. We have asked many times.
No, and the thing about having a happiness podcast is like, even as a happiness bully, like there's a limit to which you can just pester your parents to come on.
Now, Gretchen, someone says the only way to do Sedaris is to listen.
Well, you kind of said that yourself.
Yeah, so I'm going to try to get you to listen.
But I like to read, and I can read so much faster that I feel like, and I have so many podcasts that I want to listen to.
Which is such a delight.
Okay, well, they usually have like an audio clip or like I can try it out and see, because maybe I'll just get into it. And maybe that'd be a great way for me to get into audiobooks. I just feel like I have so much I want to listen to as well.
Yeah.
That I don't really know. Oh, someone's saying, Liz, where can I see the fix? I'm looking everywhere. I'm in Canada.
I don't know the answer to that. I think it played in Canada, or if it hasn't, it's going to. Otherwise, I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, it's tricky because
I should look into that.
Because there's so many rights issues and everything. Yeah. Somebody is saying, I'm inspired to deal with my plastic containers tomorrow. That is great, because sometimes when you see a bunch of like constructive advice, it just makes you like, I have a whole new approach. And that is so exciting, which is one of the reasons we started the happiness hack, because so often when you get an idea like that, you get so fired up. And if you have a hack, all you want to do is tell everybody in your life about, oh my gosh, I finally solved the mystery of what do you do with your plastic containers. So good. Keep them coming. And this can be like, maybe this is the challenge for the week. For the weekend, Elizabeth.
Plastic containers. Yes, yeah. I love it.
Okay.
I should do my own, culling, I'm sure.
Yes, yes.
Someone's asking if everyone's house is messier now than it is usually because they're home all the time. I think it's going both ways. I think some people's house is the cleanest it's ever been because they're obsessed with cleaning it. And I think other people's is completely messy. Ours goes back and forth. I am personally cleaning more than I usually do, a lot more. However, it still gets very messy. So I don't know. How about yours?
I think it's kind of the same, because like the kitchen is definitely messier because there's so much more cooking going on and so many more people eating meals there all the time and making coffee and making tea, and we're doing so many more dishes, and so it always feels like something's just happening there. And then there's also more cooking and baking. But I like to tidy, so I do a lot of the tidying. And then my daughter Eliza, turns out, is super fastidious and like cracks the whip to get us to all do chores all the time. So I think we're probably overall, but then it's also like, usually my daughter neither one of them would have like their school stuff spread out,
right?
Day after day after day, but they are kind of like camped out in places. But I don't feel like that's clutter. It's just like they have to use that space.
I feel like I need to
visually cluttered.
Constant vacuuming because everyone's home. I mean, it's just it is literally dirtier because everyone's home, walking around and doing stuff. So
okay. I'm embarrassed to confess, but Jamie bought a Roomba because some friend, a pal of his, was like talking about the Roomba.
People
our dog
love
Barnaby. I was like up in I was like away in my office, and our dog never barks, rarely, except there's one dog he hates, and he'll bark at that dog, but he almost never barks. And I could hear him barking. I'm like, so I texted from my office, like to the other part of my apartment, like, why is Barnaby barking? And they're like, the Roomba arrived. He does not like the Roomba. So I don't know. Give me a thumbs up if you've tried the Roomba. I feel a little silly, but it does. It's like it reminds me of that little droid in Star Wars. The one that Darth Vader. That's like skittering away from Darth Vader.
Yeah.
Like, kind of feels like that. It's not something I would buy as an underwear. But he didn't ask me.
But you're benefiting.
I'm benefiting.
Gretch, people are asking, what do you do if your spouse does not want to declutter or likes to hoard stuff? How can you get rid of stuff if your spouse doesn't want to? That is so hard. Do you have any tips?
Hard. It's really hard. And there's kind of different versions of this, because there's people who are just messy and like have a lot of stuff and it's all over the place. There are people who are pack rats, so they hang on to stuff more than you would. And one person's normal amount of stuff is another person's pack rat. So again, it's like, consider yourself and your own preference. And then there's some people who truly, like, maybe they're not hoarders, but they are edging into the point where just about anyone would agree this person has like a kind of a serious amount of things. So it sort of depends on where you fall. One thing that can help is if the person can have a place where they can put their things and you don't mess with them. Like if you're lucky enough to, like, that person has a home office or something where you're like, I'm just going to put it in there and you can do with it what you want, but it doesn't have to be in the rest of the house. Some people will do that. Or, you know, you can store anything you want in the garage, and it might, to me, and, you know, there's abundance lovers and simplicity lovers. So as a simplicity lover, I like that there's nothing in the garage. It's like, there can be room for many boxes in the garage. I don't want boxes in the garage, but maybe you want boxes and boxes and boxes of stuff in the garage, and it kind of offends my sensibilities, but they're just in the garage in plastic boxes. That's fine. You know, to me, that's kind of irksome, but it's out of the way. It's put away. Fine. And so that again is preferences. But when it's getting to the point where, and then maybe somebody's just messy and they're just not cleaning up after themselves. Maybe they're clutter blind. Like Elizabeth, you're clutter blind. It's hard for you to keep things tidy just because it doesn't bother you. So in a way, I'm bothering you by nagging you all the time, whereas you're bothering me by leaving the cabinets open. It's a preference thing. So I think part of it is to understand, where's the person coming from. Also, some people really invest possessions with emotional weight. And some clutter experts will sort of hand wave that and be like, well, that's just wrong, and you just shouldn't give emotional weight to things. But that is not the common experience of mankind. Just about everybody gives emotional weight to certain possessions. And for some people, many, many possessions have lots of emotions. And so what you want to do there is curate it and say, we're not going to keep everything from the summer or everything from our children's childhood. Let's pick the special things. Let's pick the few things, the most iconic things, the most representative things, the most special things, and we'll save those nicely or display them and let the other things go, because we don't need all of them. We just need like those representative things. But anyway, this is something that I write a lot about in Outer Order, Inner Calm, my little book about clutter clearing, because this is a huge source of conflict. And there's many variations on it. So maybe it's helpful to know that many people are fighting this fight.
Yeah, I mean, it's a major happiness stumbling block, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, speaking of this, somebody says, how do you disagree with Marie Kondo's philosophy? This is what I think. I think I love her stuff. I binge watched the show. I've read all her books. I think I've learned so much from her. I'm a huge fan of Marie Kondo. But Marie Kondo is like, there's one way to do that, and that's KonMari way. And that is, you get up first thing in the morning and you do it by yourself. And first you do this category of things, and you take them all out and you make a big heap in the middle of your room. And it's like, her way isn't going to work for everybody. If I took out all the clothing in my house, I would have nervous collapse. I can't handle that. I think, you know, a lot of people, in my experience and observation, do better with a companion. I don't think that people necessarily should start with a certain category. I think maybe some people do better when they start with what's bothering them the most. So I just think that there's many ways to do it right and many ways to achieve our aims. And I would never say to somebody, this is the right way, because I feel like everyone's different. But if you watch the show, give me a thumbs up if you watch the show. Did you watch the show, Elizabeth?
I haven't. I should.
It's kind of mesmerizing. I love any before and after, and it's a before and after.
Well, it's like, I'm not that interested in decluttering in my life. So it's like, I'm not that interested in watching someone declutter. But I mean, it is, you know, I should be. Maybe it'll inspire me. But
for people who watch it, there was one where a woman actually had very little clutter. Her house was very beautifully organized, but she was having trouble letting go of her husband's thing. Her husband had died, and she was very sad. And she wanted to, there was like some difference in the order. Like she wanted to do books before clothes or clothes before books or something like that. And you could see that Marie Kondo was like, ooh, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. That's not what we're supposed to do here. And then in the end, she was like, okay, grieving widow who would like to do it in a slightly different way for me. Okay, this one time. And you could see how much it was a struggle for her to think that someone could adapt it to their own particular situation. And I just think, and you know, kind of my take is that we can all achieve our aims, but we all need to get there in different ways. Some people use to-do lists. Some people get up early. Some people are abstainers. Some people are overbuyers. Some people are clutter blind. Like, I just think that there's a lot of ways to do it. That said, I think she has a tremendous amount to teach. And I think in practical terms, just about everybody who reads her stuff adapts it to themselves anyway. Very
Right.
few people actually do it her way because it's so extreme that people
Right.
are like, this isn't realistic. I'm going to do it my own way. Anyway, I don't know. I'd be curious to hear what other people think. Maybe a lot of people, I mean, Marie Kondo clearly is just,
The
she
thing that gets me,
energized so many people.
the thing that gets me is the notion that you're supposed to empty your purse every day and then put your purses inside of each other all together. I'm like, that's just something I would never do.
Yeah. Well, and
or have a totally empty kitchen counter. It's like she doesn't even think you should have dish soap on the counter, or
yeah.
the
No,
NutriBullet.
Somebody's saying she was very sympathetic. She was absolutely sympathetic. I don't want to make it sound like Marie Kondo was dismissive or something like that. And she was worried that she was jumping into the deep end and might get overwhelmed. Right, but the widow was saying, "This is what I'm mentally prepared for. This is the way I want to do it." So it's just, are you listening to, anyway, but Marie can't, I want to give credit. She handled it very sensitively, but to me, as someone who's sort of an upholder and recognize when people are having trouble going off their rules.
Gretch, another question. Someone was asking me if Hollywood, what's going to happen with Hollywood and production and all of that. We don't know yet. What I can tell you is I've heard from many people that there are huge discussions going on at studios about how to get back into production. Obviously, it's going to be very tricky because social distancing is very hard on a set, especially for actors who obviously cannot wear masks in scenes. But those conversations are ongoing. Writers' rooms are continuing. There are a lot of writers' rooms going by Zoom. People are just virtually, together. Writing is something you can do at home. So things are continuing, but, we need to start shooting at some point or we're not going to have anything new. So that's what's happening, is we're all waiting, I think, a little bit longer to see when it's going to, I think people are hoping it might start before September. We'll see.
Yeah. Let's see. Someone says her book was much more strict than the show too. She says to let your dishes dry outside the book. Yes, that's one thing I noticed, and I wondered if that was because her American or whatever, whoever was making the TV show for her, had encouraged her to soften it up again, because I noticed exactly.
Interesting.
But okay, we'll stop talking about Marie Kondo, because we could have a whole sidebar conversation where we talk about something, because I love everything clutter clearing. I find that the most delightful subject. I know that's crazy to you, Elizabeth, but somebody said, I would love to see a new comedy series all about crazy foibles during the pandemic. It's interesting, Elizabeth. I was thinking there is so much inherent possibility in this. Not that we want to make light of it. Of course, we have to recognize all of the terrible consequences of it, but it is sort of fascinating, and you could see all kinds of ways that artists and creators already are starting to use it as fodder.
Yes.
Yeah.
Somebody wants to know if we have any special plans for the weekend. I feel like we ask this question every Friday. Or somebody asks it. I, at this moment, have no special plans for the weekend. I should try to think of something. How about you?
Jamie is saying he wants us all to go on a family walk. That seems like a pretty modest, ask, and so we'll do that. But no, give us a thumbs up if you are finding it hard to make the weekend feel different from the week. Now, the thing that's funny is I'm surprised that this is such a thing for us, because both of our daughters are in school, and Jamie and I are both working full time and very busy. And so it's kind of surprising to me that the weekend and the weekday do feel a lot of because it's why isn't this just the regular time, when the weekend feels very different from the week? And yet, even in our household, it doesn't feel as different as, that was just my husband texting me to say, everywhere I go in my house, there's a tripod. It's true. I have 1,000 tripods now. Each one is a little bit different. Anyway, so how about you, Elizabeth? You're working, Anna's working, Jack is in school. So
weekends are different. I sleep in on Sunday. That's different. We'll take a walk. I don't know. I think we are desperate to make it seem different. I will say for the first time in LA, I think it's going to be really hot this weekend. So that will be different. We'll probably be outside more.
Well, somebody said nowhere to go and nothing to do. I think for some people it's sort of like, this is the time when I would like go on that adventure or like go to this event, and that is not happening. And so it is still hard. The days, a lot of people
Someone does takeout on the weekend. I think that's a way to distinguish it. And we tend to do that as well. Like that makes it feel different. Yeah. By the way, Gretchen, I just have to answer this because someone asked if I'm watching Real Housewives of New York and Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, which have started. Of course I am.
Yes. Are you on the treadmill when you watch?
No, because remember, my TV doesn't work on the treadmill.
Oh,
I watch other things on the treadmill.
That's
now.
right.
Yes, I can only watch Netflix or Hulu or something.
Oh, right.
Yes, so I can't do that. I wish I could. But anyway, I love both seasons. I do not miss Bethany for anyone who watches New York, and I'm very excited. I love Garcelle, the new housewife in Beverly Hills. So I think they're both going to be amazing seasons. So that's that.
Okay. So we're going to do the accountability check-in. So accountability.
Yes.
So put it in the comments. What are you being held accountable for? Walk 20 and 20, meditation, cooking something new, wearing perfume, trying a device that you haven't done, reading a book. Put it in the comments and give yourself a gold star if you are keeping up with something that we're holding you accountable for. Elizabeth has your snack burst check-in.
It's okay. It's pretty good. It's hard. It's a struggle. I am, as Mom predicted, having a hard time with having Jack's Easter candy still about. So I'll be very happy when that is gone.
Yeah.
Because I do tend to sneak some Easter candy before bed.
Can't you just tell him to hide it?
Well, I should do that, but yeah. It's like I don't want him to hide it because I want to get to it. As Mom said, she's like, that never stopped me. But anyway,
the hiding it. Yeah.
I'm working on it. And I'm forcing myself to try on various pairs of pants.
Oh, that's good. So somebody said I've been making sourdough bread. Give us a thumbs up if you've been baking more. I was reading about what sales are up for what across the United States. Yeast and flour are like at the top of the list. There must be something about the human instinct for preparation that makes people feel, there is something very primitive and grounded about bread and kneading, and it takes a long time and it's very sensual. Like it really does connect you to your senses. It's the sense of smell, it's the sense of taste, it's the sense of touch. It looks beautiful. Like I think a lot of people are getting into bread.
Gretch, I just noticed Casey Schwartz is watching, and she said sugar is her only pleasure. So I just want to remind everyone to read Casey's book, Attention, a Love Story.
Well, Casey, you have a new baby, so probably sleeping is a luxury for you. That's what I remember as being like, or just like locking myself in the bathroom. Yes, I had a hard time finding yeast. That's why there's so many making sourdough. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, here's a couple of announcements. First of all, Instagram, now you can watch Instagram live on your computer. And the advantage if you watch on your computer is that the comments are on the side. And so it will not block Elizabeth's face, which is very annoying for everybody, I know. So if you watch on a desktop, they appear on the side. And if you want to type a comment, then you can type with 10 fingers, which I much prefer than your thumbs. But you have to watch it live. There is no way to watch for the 24 hours. Wow. Because you can always watch these for 24 hours if you're on your phone, because if you go to my profile and hit live, it'll say one says story and one says live at the bottom. If you pick live, you can watch these for 24 hours. Can't do that on desktop, but you can watch actually live. I also wanted to mention, because it's the weekend, and I've been hearing from a lot of people who are getting into the 4 tendencies, because the 4 tendencies is a great way to kind of manage conflict and like figure out why your kid's not doing their homework and all that. I have dropped the price of my 4 tendencies course to just $25, which is off for usually $99. And so if you want to take it, it's GretchenRubin.com/4T course. That's the number 4, the letter T, and the word course. So you can check that out if you are, and that's something that you can do in your own time, Rebels, and you have access to it, whenever you want it, once you get it. But I've just been hearing for a lot of people about how the four tendencies are coming up right now. So listen, let's just make the call on the book so that everybody can get their hands on the book.
Overwhelmingly, I think the opinion is it should be Me Talk Pretty One Day. So that's it. David Sedaris, Me Talk Pretty One Day is our next book selection.
Okay. And so today is the 24th. Why don't we say the 21st again, just because that's sort of an easy day.
Okay. So May 21st, if it's a weekday.
Yeah. May 21st. We will talk about it. And of course, always ebook counts, audiobook counts, any kind of way that you get counts. If you're buying it, consider buying it from a local indie. And Elizabeth, you really recommend the audiobook for this?
I do. He is amazing to listen to. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Really wonderful.
So the challenge is either like hunt down the book, like begin enjoying the book, and work on your plastic containers. Yes. Inspired by the thought of Marie Kondo and all of the comments where people had all kinds of tips and tricks and strategies.
Declutter containers. I like the alliteration.
It's a little thing, but sometimes these little things just give you a big boost. It's funny. Yes. Okay, everyone. Have a great weekend. We will be back on Monday, 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. Let's keep our hands clean and our minds clear. Bye.
Bye.